Now on the Trump presidency, and Margaret Brennan, moderator of Face the Nation, joins us now live from Washington, D.C. Margaret, good to see you. Let's start with Michael Cohen today.
Good to be with you.
Thank you. Now, let's start with Michael Cohen today, talking about his relationship with President Trump. What did we learn from that interview with ABC today?
Well, this was a conversation that the president's former attorney and longtime fixer Michael Cohen had with ABC, in which he said he's not going to be the victim here. He's not going to be the villain in the story, and laid out what he said was his first-person account of President Trump, then candidate Trump, not only knowing about the payments that were made to these alleged ex-mistresses, but directing them, being part of all the conversations, planning this out with the intent to influence the outcome of the election. That's what matters, intent here, because that is what brings this felony to the president's door and perhaps may cross it if this can be substantiated. And right now, it's not just Michael Cohen who shared this story today. It's federal prosecutors who feel confident enough in investigating this that they are going forward with this campaign finance violation as a charge, and really pushing this to the point where we are asking the question on the show this Sunday about whether the president's legal problems are enough for him to face indictment when he leaves office, or whether this will be another thing adding to these calls for impeachment when Democrats take control of the House in January. So growing legal issues here, and we'll tell you what it actually means for the presidency.
But of course, the president's side saying Michael Cohen's a liar, he has no credibility, he's a convicted felon, and that the president had just been listening to his attorney, and therefore he's not really responsible for anything.
Yes, Michael Cohen is an admitted liar, and he is being charged with felonies. But where this goes a step further is the fact that there is actually a case being developed by federal prosecutors in Manhattan that goes beyond what just Michael Cohen said. It means they've been able to substantiate things enough to bring it to the court and to bring it to the public. So that's where the president's defense here may be challenged. We will talk about that on Sunday's show and try to parse it, because there's also other questions now about financial donations to the Trump inaugural committee and other kind of violations that could cause some legal problems for Trump entities and the Trump presidency.
And Margaret, I wanted to ask you about some breaking news. We got that Mick Mulvaney will be assuming the role of chief of staff in the White House. Did this come as a surprise? I know yesterday people were floating around the idea of the president's son-in-law actually taking that role.
Well, it's a surprise in that this is a third job for Mick Mulvaney. He's already the budget director. He's already head of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And now he will be chief of staff, which is arguably one of the most demanding jobs you can possibly have at the White House, certainly this White House. What's also interesting here is that the president, in his announcement of this, said he's only the acting chief of staff, meaning this is not a permanent fix, that the president seems to be holding out for somebody else. Who is that someone else? As you said, Jared Kushner had been talked about as a possibility simply because he's a family member. He's had some legal wins, he's had some wins of late in terms of legislation and helping to save the free trade deal with Mexico. But this was something that many people thought you needed a real skilled operator in the job. Mick Mulvaney, longtime congressman, and certainly skilled Washington operator, but not someone who apparently has the job for more than a short period of time.
And the third chief of staff in less than 2 years. Margaret, thank you.
Yes.
And among Margaret's guests on Face the Nation is Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota. That's Sunday morning at 10:30.